Yesterday was my birthday and I didn't really have a chance to do anything because I had to work all day. But today I have the day off, so I'm going to be taking my kayak out today and it should be a really fun adventure. So let's talk a little bit about whether or not I think van life is dead. So I was watching Chrome's video over on Van City Van Life about whether or not van life is dead. And I thought it was actually really interesting because I've been trying to build my YouTube channel here doing van, or I guess schoolie bus life, and now car life for a couple of years now. So I thought I would add my thoughts onto it. So he mentioned that a lot of the original van lifers that were on YouTube have kind of stopped doing van life. They're off doing other things, and for the most part, that's definitely true. Most of them are actually out homesteading now, and that's really awesome. Not really my cup of tea because I don't like gardening that well. And I know a lot of the more established channels that are still doing van life, which there aren't that many of the established channels doing it anymore. Their views are down quite a bit. The advertisers aren't there as much anymore. When I first started watching van life videos several years ago now, I saw all kinds of channels pop up. There were just tons of people doing it. You could put out, just a van tour video and then just a handful of vlog videos, and you'd have thousands of views, lots of sponsorships, ad revenue, stuff like that, and you could just travel kind of however much you want. I mean, that's the way it kind of looked and seemed like. There were a whole variety of van lifers that were doing this kind of thing. That kind of stopped about the time that I started trying to do van life videos. And that's not to say there haven't been van lifers that have started successful channels over the last couple of years. It's just there aren't that many of them, and a lot of the more established channels have quit. And I've also seen a lot of channels that were small and trying to grow, but they gave up. They probably found revenue in other ways. A lot of them, I think, are working remotely, stuff like that. And that's kind of what I see out on the road here, too, is a lot of the people living in vans are tech workers of some sort, or they're remote workers, so they're working from their van, and they're not necessarily doing YouTube. And I find it's kind of interesting because at the same time, there's been a little bit of a shift, I think, in the way van life is portrayed on YouTube. Well, for some reason, my maps decided to send me to the post office in Blaine, Washington, which is right next to the Canadian border. I guess that isn't too far away from Birch Bay, but I'm pretty sure there was a closer post office along my way. Doesn't really matter though. I have my cable, so I can go mail this off to the guy who bought my bus, and he can be happy that his backup camera can be powered now. And then we'll head back down to Birch Bay where I can take my kayak out. Well, anyways, back to the other van life channels that are out there. So those older channels like Trenton Alley and Matic Movement, those guys, I know it was somewhat unintentional, but they really gave an idealistic kind of view of van life. They tried to show the negatives and the downsides, but I think part of it is that both their vehicles were actually fitted out really nicely. I know Nomadic Movement wasn't a big budget vehicle like some of the other van lifers that were out there, but even them, they would get free stuff to outfit their vehicles, and to get sponsorships and stuff like that. And obviously, they were making a significant amount of money, a lot more than a lot of the van life channels right now are making, but still it felt like a very kind of idealistic portrayal of van life. A lot of the newer channels, I don't want to say they're necessarily darker, but they kind of are in a lot of ways, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of the vehicles are a lot older. They tend to break down a lot. A lot of ways they try very hard to be more authentic, and that's just kind of the way van life channels seem to be nowadays. Even a lot of the older channels that are still around nowadays, they weren't the idealistic channels that ended up moving on to homesteading and stuff like that. Clearly true that van life is not trending as much as it was, partly because I think a lot of those big channels just kind of exited the industry. They're just not there anymore. And YouTube definitely looks for similar content when it's trying to promote videos. So when a bunch of channels in the same industry all leave at the same time, it really kind of disrupts all of the channels in that industry. It's not like they get all the views that the other ones left behind or anything. It's just that there's less promotion in general for that type of content. Having said that, there are several new channels that have grown a lot, like Jimmy and Natalie. They have grown to be really pretty big. I mean, just 6 months ago, they were struggling to figure out what they were going to do for work, and now they are able to actually do this full time, and they're building a new van. It's really awesome to see. Nikki Delventhal is a car life channel that exploded. She came out close to the same time that I did. I wouldn't exactly call her content very idealistic, even though it is kind of upbeat and happy. It's still pretty authentic in the way she portrays living in a car. And I've noticed in my own channel, obviously I have a tiny channel, and I've been around posting regularly for a couple of years. I've taken a couple of breaks here and there, but it really seems like For the last 2 or 3 months, something like that, I've actually started getting some steady growth. It's not like the old days where someone would just post like a van tour video and their channel would be huge overnight, nothing like that. I haven't seen much of that going on lately, but I have started seeing that there has been some just kind of steady growth in the van life and car life channels. It's kind of interesting to see a lot of the newer van life and car life channels, definitely older vehicles, definitely break down a lot more issues. There's a lot bigger focus on being authentic and not trying to seem just so rosy about everything, which I find very interesting. But it just seems to be kind of the way this industry is going. I know there's a big explosion of people interested in van life in like 2020, 2021, just the last couple of years. And then it's kind of taken a nosedive a little bit more recently. But I do think as the world starts opening up and people start actually traveling more, I think we'll see a lot more channels come out. I can tell you that just being out on the road, even since I've been doing it since 2020, I've seen a lot more people that are living in their vehicles or just traveling in their vehicles. Maybe they don't live in them full time, but they have vans, they have trailers, they have all kinds of stuff that they're camping in. There's a lot more car camping than I had seen when I first started doing this. And maybe people are just out there exploring and stuff right now. I'm not really sure, but I feel like van life and car life, it's not really going to go anywhere. It's just going to kind of slowly rebuild itself after just a little bit of a dip here. But anyways, I need to get that kayak in the water. Looks like a pretty much perfect day out there in Birch Bay. Waves aren't too big, not a lot of wind, and it should be pretty warm, I think. The air is definitely warm. I definitely need to do a little bit of cleaning and revarnishing on this kayak. Launch was a success, and I don't know if you can hear me or not, but if you can, then that means my waterproof bag is working. It's actually kind of hard to capture kayaking very well on video. So one of those things that you just kind of have to experience. But I'm getting close to the edge of Birch Bay here. I started off way back there and went the wrong direction for a little ways. Now I'm headed upwind. There's not a lot of wind, but definitely haven't done this in a while, so my arms are a little sore. The trip back to the car should be fairly short. Always like when the seals come join you when you're out kayaking. They're always very friendly. Well, I'm just about back. Really nice out today. It's actually pretty warm. It was like 85, upper 80s, something like that over on land. But out here, it's a nice comfortable temperature. The water's actually pretty warm because it's really shallow. And you have really good view of both Birch Bay and also all those mountains that are in Canada that I don't know the name of. It's always nice having the wind help you just kind of blow back into port here. Well, I usually try to do upwind paddles first and then just go back downwind on the way back. Makes life a lot easier. This really is a nice looking kayak. Yeah, I really need to clean it up and get that varnish all fixed up, so then it'll be looking its best. I ended up at a completely different campsite than I had originally planned on going to. I actually ended up having to drive quite a ways. All the campsites and all the turnouts on the road that were along the water were just completely full. But I'll be out there again tomorrow because I need a shower, and that's where the showers are. But anyways, I had a ton of fun kayaking today. I think I'll probably leave the kayak on the roof for the next week. I'll bring it to work with me. It's not supposed to rain or anything, so it won't fill up with water. And I'll probably get a chance to go kayaking at the beginning of next week as well. But anyways, I need to eat some supper tonight. Notice I'm almost at 500 subscribers. I might actually get there by the time this video is out. I'm not sure, but it's going to be really close. So if you want to help out with that, be sure to subscribe. And if we're on our way to 1,000 subscribers, that's awesome too. And still subscribe. So thanks for watching.